Chief, so.
Step this way.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How you doing today?
Good afternoon, how are you?
Doing good. How about you?
Doing pretty well. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
I'm Paul Simon.
And you are the defendant's brother?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you mind if I call you Paul?
No, sir. Go ahead.
If you prefer Mr. Simon, let me know.
No,
and
you
I'll
can
do
call
that.
me Paul.
Okay. How old are you, Paul?
23.
And what is your city and state of residence? Where do you live now?
I live in Eden, Georgia.
Do you work?
Yes, sir.
What do you do?
I do construction and I'm a manager at AutoZone.
Did you grow up in the area?
Yes, sir.
Where'd you go to high school?
New Hampstead.
I want to draw your attention to fall of 2022. Do you remember the general time period I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where were you living in the fall of 2022?
535 Buckcarter Road.
And whose house is that?
My mother's.
Okay. And where were you staying in that house during that time period?
Upstairs and towards the back side of the house.
When had you started living there?
3 to 4 months prior
Prior to what?
to the incident
Okay. Now, where had you lived before that?
with my aunt,
Okay. What's her name?
Jackie.
Okay. So you lived with your Aunt Jackie and then you moved back in with Mom at some point?
Yes, sir.
Were you working in that time period?
Yes, sir. I was working at a warehouse. I can't remember the name. It was Eclipse, I believe.
Okay. Was it the same place that your sister and Danny worked?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me about a normal day there. What did you do?
We loaded packages up onto trailers and moved them around the warehouse into different trailers all day. Just
Okay.
stacking them and wrapping them and sending them off.
Now, when you moved into your mom's house a couple months before what you described as the incident, were your sister and Danny and the 3 kids already living there?
Yes, sir.
Had Sky already been born at that point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me, what was it like living there with everybody in that house?
Well, pretty much every day, from what I heard and saw, it was just arguing every day. I mean, not between the kids or nothing like that, but it was between Leilani and Danny.
Okay. What about your mom?
Whenever my mom was there, they did argue quite a good bit.
And who's that?
Leilani and my mom.
Okay. Let's go to the morning of, well, let me ask you this. Tell me about the kids, the 3 kids, Zane, Quentin, and Sky.
Zane, hyper, want to be in everybody's business. Well, I mean, that's average for his age, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then Quentin, he was an angel. Like, you could change his diaper, he'd lift his butt right up for you, no problem at all with it. You put the diaper, you tell him to lower his butt, he'd lower it, let you clean them all up, no problem at all. Zane, that boy had crap all up his head one time, and Leilani made me clean it in the back of the car. Man, that was a whole, I don't know how I managed that one.
Can I ask you this? Did you participate in the child care at all during your time living in the house?
Kinda. It was on and off. It was whenever they needed me.
Yeah. Tell us about your interactions with the kids.
So a few times I had to take them to doctor's appointments, which wasn't a problem because, people was at work, and I happened to have the day off or whatever, So I'd take them to the doctor's appointment because I didn't have to be at work till 2. And then I'd drop them off at the babysitter. And then whenever Leilani would need me to watch them, I'd watch them upstairs. I'd bring some toys upstairs into my room and let them play with it. Tell them, hey, that's your area. Don't mess with none of my stuff.
Tell me about watching them upstairs in your room.
They just sit there, play with the toys, want a whole lot of snacks. And of course, I wouldn't give them snacks right away. You ain't about to be all hyped up on me.
Does this include Sky, or are you talking mainly about Zane and Quentin?
Zane and Quentin, I didn't actually watch Sky. She was still, relatively young, like 3, 4 months old, somewhere around there. So I didn't actually watch Sky, but I watched Delaney and Quinn quite a bit whenever they needed me to.
Did you ever help them, you know, and maybe not because of the shift you work, but did you ever help with getting them dressed in the morning, getting them fed, getting them bathed and put down at night or anything like that?
I bathed them once or twice when I was there, and as far as feeding, I would help with that, but it was more so when I was there, because I was working from 2 to 10, so they'd usually eat between 6 and 9 at night, give or take those time periods.
Now, you started saying some nice things about Quentin earlier, and I did not follow up, and I guess I'll do that now. What was your relationship like with Quentin?
Well, he loved me. I mean, he'd come up to me, he'd put his arms over my knees, and I'd just sit there and bounce him for a good hour or two till my legs got tired. You know, he weighed a good 20, 30 pounds. But I mean, I loved him. I mean, I'd tell him to shut up. But I mean, that was about as mean as it got towards him with me, you know what I mean? You know, kids don't want to stop talking.
What did your, during the time period that you're working at Eclipse and working the 2 p.m. shift that you've mentioned, what did a normal day look like for you? Not talking about any particular day, but just kind of give us an example.
I'd get up in the morning between 9, 10 o'clock-ish, usually, and then watch some TV, get up, take my dog out, let him use the bathroom, bring him back in the room, continue watching some TV, and then get ready and go to work. I mean, it was just, you know, either TV or playing a video game.
What about after work?
After work, I'd get off. Just like I said at the police station, I'd get off, roll me a blunt, and go on about my day.
Tell me about the blunt rolling and the going on about your day.
I'd sit there in the parking lot because I wasn't going to try to drive and roll at the same time, you know what I mean? So I'd sit there in the parking lot, roll. Then as I was driving down the road, I would light it up and smoke on the way home because my mom had a strict rule of no smoking in her car, so you'd have to roll it out in the windows to be able to smoke in the car.
What car were you driving around the time of the incident?
The 2012 Silverado.
Okay. What color is that?
White.
Okay. And is that the truck that was parked next to the Dodge Journey when the police arrived?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me what you would do when you get home.
I'd get home, I'd go upstairs, let the dog out, then probably smoke again, and then go to bed. Watch a little bit of TV if I had enough time, and then go to bed.
Tell us about the dog. When did you get the dog?
I got the dog when I was still working at FedEx in 2019. He passed away January 1st this year from advanced heartworm disease.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and but he was my pride and joy. Loved that little fool.
What? You said what now?
He was a little fool. He was a little retard. That's what he was.
Pardon me. What was the dog's name?
Rimshot.
Rimshot?
Mm.
Are you a drummer?
I'm not, but you know that's a name from Ernest. Have you ever seen any of the Ernest movies?
Like Ernest Saves Christmas?
Ernest Saves Christmas, Ernest Goes to Jail, Ernest Saves Halloween.
And there's a character named Rimshot in this movie?
It's his dog.
And that's that's your dog's namesake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know you had told me before that the dog was named Rimshot, but I didn't know why. Okay. Where did the dog stay when you were at work?
He would stay, Leilani would watch him whenever she was home, or he would go outside and stay on the lead.
Okay. On the lead, can you tell me what you're talking about?
Long 25, 30 foot leash.
And what was that attached to?
A ground hook.
Okay. And where would he stay when you were home?
He would stay upstairs with me.
Is that where he slept?
Mm.
Okay. Let's talk about so we've talked about kind of your general typical day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the day before the police came to your house, okay? We'll talk about that day, October 4th, 20.
Did you sign the house for mine? You respond with yes or no?
Yes,
The
sir.
court reporter is trying to take it all down.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right.
All right. the day before the police came to your house, did you work that day?
I did.
As far as you remember it, was it pretty much a normal day for you?
Yes, sir.
And is it not until the next morning that it became abnormal?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's talk about going to work. What time were you scheduled to work that day?
I was scheduled to go in at 2 p.m. I had went in early that day. I don't remember exactly what time I went in.
And do you remember why it was that you went in earlier?
Because Leilani wasn't able to go in that day. And so Danny had texted her and asked if I could come in early, is what I believe is what happened.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd like to approach with what I've marked as State's Exhibit 88. Can you take a look at this? Just read it carefully, taking a look at the phone numbers, and I want to ask you about it, okay?
That's my old number, and that was Danny's number.
The document that I just handed you, is that the text message exchange between Danny Youngkin and you
Yes, sir.
from October 4th of 2022?
Yes, sir.
Does it fairly and accurately depict the text messages that you exchanged?
Mm-hmm.
Your Honor, I would offer this as State's Exhibit 88.
No objection, Judge.
It is admitted.
Now, the first message on there is from who to whom?
The first message is from Danny to me.
And what's the time of that message?
10 in the morning.
Okay.
10:15.
And what did Danny say to you?
He said, "Yo, Dave wanted to know if you'd go in at 12. I'm at the dentist with Leilani. She just got her tooth pulled."
Yo, Dave wanted to know if you would go in at 12?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Dave Mullins? Or
Yes, sir.
Mullen?
It was the GM that was running Eclipse.
Okay. Was he your boss, or at least one of your bosses?
He was one of them. He was the morning shift boss.
Okay. And did you respond to that message from Danny?
Yes, sir. I said I'd be in.
And what time did you send that message?
20 minutes after I received it.
Okay. So from there, did you go into work?
Yes, sir. I got there probably about 11:30.
And was it a normal day at work?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, tell us about finishing up work and getting ready to come home.
So I had got out of work. I went and sat in the car, and that night I had got stopped by a train. So I ended up getting home at 10:50 instead of my normal time, which was 10:30.
Okay.
And,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
and that night before I had left work, Leilani had texted me and asked me if I had any relatives, which was blunt wraps. And I had responded to her and said, yes, I'd be home in about an hour. And when I had got home at 10:50, I went in there to give her the pack of Rellos, and she wasn't there.
Okay. So you said that she texted you before you,
It was either a text or a phone call.
okay, and asked you if you,
Would bring her a pack of Rellos, which was blunt wraps.
what is that word you're saying? I'm sorry.
Rellos.
Rellos?
Cigarillos?
Oh, okay, cigarillos.
Yeah.
Is that what gar means?
Mhm.
Okay, cigarello?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, thank you. Your Honor, I'd like to approach with what I've marked as State's Exhibit 89. Can you take a look at this document and let me know when you're ready to talk about it? Take a careful look at the numbers and the messages and so forth.
Yes, sir.
Flip to the second page here, if you would.
My bad.
All right, do you recognize those messages?
Yes, sir.
Are those messages between you and your sister on the night of October 4th?
Yes, sir.
Do they fairly and accurately depict the messages that you exchanged with each other?
Yes, sir. And around the same time, because at that time, it took me about 30 minutes to roll. So I was sitting there in the parking lot for 30 minutes.
Okay. Your Honor, I would introduce this as State's Exhibit 89.
No objection, Judge.
I don't know. I know you talked about your general practice of rolling a blunt in the parking lot after work. Would you smoke it there as well?
I would be driving on my way home smoking. Like I
Okay.
said, that night I had got stopped by the train, so it took me an extra 20 minutes to get home.
Okay. So let me ask you, do you see this message here, this 9:46 p.m. message? All right. And that is that one from your sister?
Yes, sir.
And what does she say to you?
Can you grab me a cigar on your way home, please?
All right. So are you still at work at that point?
I was.
Okay. Had you clocked out yet?
No. I had my phone on me, but I wasn't supposed to, so.
Oh, okay, I see. The next message is from who to whom?
From Leilani to me. She was sending a question mark afterwards because she always forgets to send her question marks.
Okay, so we got, can you grab me a cigar on your way home, please, at 9:46 with no question mark, and then she adds the question mark a few minutes later?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then I saw it right as I was clocking out,
All right, and you responded to that at what time?
right before 10 o'clock.
Okay, and what did you say?
I got some minis in the car.
I
Well,
got-
I got minis, but
All right, so we'll read the message just as it appears on the page, and then I'm going to ask you what you mean.
I got minis. I got some minis.
I got some minis, and what does that refer to?
Mini cigarillos.
Okay. And where were you at the time you sent that message? You said you just clocked out.
Just walking out the building.
Okay. And what's the next message?
She said, okay, you on the way? I said, in a minute.
And what time did you say in a minute?
At 10:03.
All right. And would you have been in the parking lot at that point, I guess?
Getting in the car.
Okay. And then what was the last message?
Okay.
And that was from her to you
Yes, sir.
at 10:03 p.m. All right. So no more text messages between the two of you that night? And-
That no?
No, sir. My bad.
So that brings us to your getting home and her not being there, you said, right? Tell us about your arrival at the house.
So I got home and I noticed that the Dodge Journey wasn't there.
Okay.
And so I had went inside, I had the minis in my hand, and I had asked Danny, I said, where's Leilani at?
Where was it that you encountered Danny?
He was sitting on the bed right in front of to the door going into the bedroom.
Okay. He's sitting on the bed in his bedroom? His and your sister's bedroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And you've got the minis in your hand?
Yes, sir.
And because you're coming to bring them to your sister? But she is not there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, did you see the children at this point?
I did. I don't remember exactly what they were doing, but I know that Quentin was awake. He was in his playpen, and Zane was laid down on his race car bed.
Did you have any how do you know Quentin was awake? Tell me what you saw.
He was saying Danny. He was laying there, but he was saying Danny, just like that.
Is that something that he would do?
Yes.
Can you describe, like, was it just like normal kind of babbling from a child? Or?
He would say Danny's name repeatedly. I don't know if it was because it was easy for him to say, because it's only 2 syllables. Danny. You know what I mean? But that was one of the key words he said 95% of the time.
From your perspective, did Quentin seem to like Danny? Did they have a good relationship?
They had a decent one. I mean, Danny would get fed up with taking care of the kids all the time. But you signed up for it, brother. I mean, there's nothing else I can say to you. I can't sit here and say, don't be upset. You signed up for it.
So anyway, Quentin's you said he's laying down in his packet play?
He was laying down, kind of, more or less. He was still getting like, so he does a lot of talking before he would go to sleep. So he'd just sit there and say Danny or throw a little tantrum and then pass out, or it was one of the two. He didn't like being in a dark room.
Did anything seem to be out of the ordinary in that room at that time?
Not that I saw. I walked in there, told Quentin to shut up and go to bed, and went upstairs.
And did Danny seem to be acting abnormally?
He seemed a little agitated that he was having to watch the kids again.
Okay. Anything beyond that?
I mean, no more than his normal whining about having to do something he didn't want to do.
Now, how long did y'all interact with each other?
About 10 minutes in the bedroom before Leilani got home.
What was the nature of this?
Just talking. He was complaining about Leilani, which I was already used to, and kind of getting a little bit annoyed of him whining. If you don't like it, leave. I mean, it's not that hard.
Now, did you have anything to eat when you got home that night?
No, I didn't.
Don't remember getting anything to eat?
I don't remember it.
Okay. Would it refresh your memory to look at some text messages between Danny and Leilani about that, perhaps?
Yes, sir.
Madam Clerk, do you have State's Exhibit 86 somewhere to see what you recommend? Can you take a look at that second message from the top? You good?
Yeah.
Okay. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But does that refresh your memory as to whether you had anything to eat or drink that night?
I probably grabbed some Hawaiian punch.
Okay.
Leilani was a little stingy about the kids' drinks and food now.
Now, after you probably or possibly had some Hawaiian punch, what did you do?
Went upstairs. I watched that episode of One Piece.
What is that?
One Piece is an anime.
Okay, it's an animation.
Mm-hmm. It was 23 minutes and 42 seconds exactly.
And what did you do after that?
Went to bed.
Did you come downstairs anymore that night?
No, sir.
Did you have to let the dog out or anything at any point?
No, sir. Not till he woke me up in the morning, needed to use the bathroom, which was about 8:30ish. I got up at 9 and took him out.
Okay. What do you remember about that morning?
Just hearing yelling, and I thought it was the normal yelling. Then I come downstairs, and next thing I know, the house is surrounded by police.
Was that before or after you took the dog out?
After.
Okay.
But it was kind of like during, in the motion of me taking the dog out, all the police was pulling up.
All right. What do you remember hearing?
Just a whole lot of yelling. I couldn't make out exactly what it was. I was still half asleep. And I just kind of laid there until I heard it kind of die down or move away from where I could hear it. And then I got up and took the dog out.
Did you have any interaction with your sister that morning?
Not before she told me that Quentin was missing.
And where were you when she told you that, as far as you
Downstairs in the parking area.
out in the driveway?
Yeah, next to the next to the garage.
Okay. And what she look like at that point?
Complete mess, complete wreck. Trying to figure out where her baby was.
And what happened from there?
She had called the babysitter over to see if she saw anything, if she knew anything, and then the police was showing up at the same time as the babysitter had just showed up. And then the next thing I know, Danny's showing up.
Hey, did you help look for Quentin?
Didn't get a chance to.
What do you mean?
By the time that everything was going on, we all got told we had to go down to police annex, and we was interrogated for over 17 hours by the FBI.
Did you, 17 hours?
Yes, I kept track of it because they were supposed to get me pizza. I'm still mad about my pizza 2 years later.
Did they? I think we saw you on some video bringing your sister some food at some point.
Yeah, didn't they call the pizza afterwards?
Okay. So you got some food that day in any case?
Yeah, because I bought it.
Okay. Because you bought it?
Yeah.
Did you?
I DoorDashed it.
You're saying you DoorDashed the pizza to the police station?
So after 12 hours of sitting there being interrogated, man, people get hungry.
Okay. So, regardless of whether you had a good time there that day, did you cooperate with the police questioning?
Yes,
the
sir.
FBI questioning?
Anything they asked me, I told them whatever I knew.
Okay. And did that continue to be the case over the coming days and weeks?
Yes, sir, even while they hooked me up to the lie detector test and everything.
One moment, please, John.
This might be a good time for a short break.
May I just finish up a couple of things, John?
Yes.
Okay. Do you, look, I'd like to approach with what I marked as State's Exhibit 90.
I'm sorry about not answering yes or no.
All right, I'm showing you what I marked as State's Exhibit 90, okay?
And let me just say, just so that everything can be on the record. So Mr. Simon just apologized for not responding yes or no, and that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you take a look at these messages starting from the back, actually, and tell me if you recognize them?
Okay, so these are not text messages between me and Leilani. These are text messages between me and a coworker, and about a girl that thought that I was making a rumor about her, and I wasn't, and she threatened to hit us with her car. So we all kind of dipped out of there really fast.
Is this something that happened at work on the 4th?
Yes, this was nothing related to Leilani or Danny or anything like that.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Your Honor, I would like to introduce this as State's Exhibit 90.
No objection, Judge.
Okay. Exhibit 90 submitted.
Let me just ask you this. On the last page here, do you see this message where this person asks you at 11:40 p.m. what time you going in tomorrow?
I said 12 because I was already planning on going in early regardless because I needed the extra money.
And that response from you was at 11:40 p.m.?
That's why I was already getting up, but then when they asked me to come in, it made it even easier to come in without asking for permission from the boss.
Okay. And this was on the night of October 4th, right?
Yes, sir.
Were you already up in your room at this point?
Yes, sir. He had texted me after I had laid down to go to bed.
Okay. And was this your last phone activity that night?
Yes, sir.
And Your Honor, if I have not already formally offered 88, I would do so at this time. Those were the Paul Simon, Daniel Youngkin text messages.
I believe it may already be in. Madam Clerk?
That's correct, ma'am.
Thank you.
And is that the case for 88, 89, and 90?
Not 90.
90 is just admitted.
90 was using it. Okay. One moment, please. No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So there's mention of a break. I think this is a good time for a break. The time is 3:13. Let's come back at 3:30. And with that, we will proceed. Mr. Hilliard.
Mr. Simon, my name is Martin Hilliard. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm pretty good. No complaints. I've got some questions for you, and I'm probably going to start on October 5th and work back a little bit. You were already at home on the morning of October 5th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you said you woke up, you went outside, took your dog outside.
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to kind of approach the witness and show him State's Exhibit real quick.
I'll show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 9. If you would, the upstairs bedroom that you stay in,
Which bedroom is that? Does it overlook the pool? Does it overlook the front yard, the side yard?
It overlooked the pool and the driveway.
Okay.
Because the way the bathroom was faced was towards the outside driveway.
Okay.
Then the room I was in faced towards the inside of the driveway.
All right. So, based upon what you're looking at right there, would it be above the dining room or the living room or somewhere in that area?
By the living room,
By the living room?
right above it.
Okay.
and so you could look out over the pool and the patio and the parking area, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And this other bedroom right here
Look towards the front.
is towards the front.
Yes, sir.
Just trying to get an orientation.
All right. So you were at home that night, around the night of October 4th, around 11:40. Was a text message between you and your coworkers that Mr. Dean was just talking about, correct?
Yes, sir.
You remember sending that?
Yes, sir.
Were you awake?
I was trying to go to sleep, so I was kind of trying to end the conversation pretty fast.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I was already laid down at 11 to go to sleep, and so when a text message came through, it kind of woke me up a little bit.
Okay.
And so I was just trying to get it done and over with, but yeah, I was a little bit awake.
All right. Well, let's just talk about that. So, you were a little bit awake. Did you hear any doors opening or closing, or a ruckus, or anything going on at that point in time?
No, sir.
Okay. And I don't know because I don't know anything about the house, but if the door for the living room or the dining room open or closed, can you hear that from upstairs or no?
You can hear a car door shut, but you can't really hear the door shut unless it's slammed.
Okay. So if the dining room door, the living room door shut, you wouldn't necessarily hear it.
No, sir.
And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but if there's a car door outside slammed, you would definitely hear that.
Yes.
Okay. And so, did you hear that at any point in time that evening?
Around about 11:20, I heard a car door shut, and it was Leilani coming back in from getting cigarillos, and I just kind of laid there and ignored it because I just finished my episode and I was heading to bed.
Okay. So about 11:20, you heard the car door shut. Now, in the morning times, do you hear when anybody leaves for work?
No, sir.
Okay.
Being passed out, I don't. After working, I don't really hear a whole lot.
Understandable. So you slept through the morning of October 5th till about 9:30, correct?
I woke up about 8:30, but I laid there until 9.
Okay. And you, at that point in time, had you heard anything?
I heard a little bit of yelling, but like I said, that was an everyday thing, so I just didn't pay no attention to it and laid there until I heard it move away where I couldn't hear it. And then I got up and let the dog out. And that was about 9 o'clock was when I got up.
And you said you heard some yelling. What yelling did you hear?
I just heard Leilani screaming, but I didn't know what she was screaming about or nothing like that. I just heard screaming.
All right. And you were taking the dog out when that happened?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you said the police showed up and Daniel showed up, correct? And you said that you heard the yelling and the police showed up, and you said that Leilani was a complete mess, correct?
Yes, sir.
How about Daniel?
He wasn't really phased. He didn't look phased. He left work in a hurry, but other than that, the whole time he was more worried about what was going to happen to him throughout the whole thing, from what I saw.
Okay.
I mean, 3 days after it happened, he's up in North Carolina just that quick. Boom, gone. I mean, that just strikes me as not good, not right behavior when you're supposed to be.
When they make an objection, you have to stop.
Yeah.
Just a moment, I'm sorry. Was there an objection?
There was an objection, Judge. So,
Mr. Dean?
Non-responsive.
This is Dan.
I
Mr.
just-
Simon,
Just a moment.
just, you have to let me ask the questions,
Oh,
and
my
you have
bad,
to
I'm
answer
sorry.
them. Okay? So you were there that day, and you were there all day, correct? On October 5th.
Yes, sir, until the police took us.
Right. So you said when Danny got there, he seemed unfazed. Okay. You said Leilani was a mess, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you answer all the questions that were put to you that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'm curious, at this point in time, how long had you known Daniel Youngkin?
About 4 months. All I really knew about him before that was that he was one of Leilani's baby daddies. That's all I knew about him before that.
All right. So, and when did you move into the house on Buckalter Road?
In about April, right after my birthday.
So, April of 2022?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this was in October of 2022, right?
Yes, sir.
So, and I guess when you moved in, Danny and Leilani and the kids were already there.
Yes, sir, they were.
Okay. Now, did you ever notice Danny and Leilani either using drugs or drinking?
Danny drunk every day.
Right.
He'd be riding down the road drinking a Fireball, a little shot, consistently every day.
All right. And you know, not being judgmental, but and Leilani smoked,
Yep, smoke weed.
and you did too.
Mhm.
Did you ever see him do anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. And if anything else was done,
I would have told my mom.
okay. So that was not something you knew about.
No, sir.
All right.
And I believe Leilani knew that, and that's why she constantly tried to hide it from me. That she was doing something that she didn't want me to know of.
Okay. And same thing for Danny, correct?
Was that yes?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So, was it uncommon for the back door? And again, if you don't know, that's fine. But how did you normally come in and out of the house when you?
Through the back door.
Okay. And was that pretty much how everyone entered the house?
Yes, sir.
And was it uncommon that those doors would be unlocked?
Normally, since I was the one that got off work, the last one to be home, it would be locked whenever my stepdad would be home. But if it was everybody else, I would be the one that locked the door before I went up to bed.
Okay. So, and that's kind of what I was getting to. Normally, you were the one who locked the door when you came in, now,
Yes,
right?
sir.
And do you have any recollection doing so this particular night, the
Yes,
night of
sir.
October 4th?
I locked it when I came in, and I had went in and talked to Danny, and then went to bed.
And again, not being judgmental, but you smoke blunts. Do you smoke cigarettes, Paul?
I used to.
When did you quit?
About 3 years ago when I started vaping.
So you gave up cigarettes and started vaping.
Yes, sir.
How about Leilani? She smoked cigarettes?
Yes, sir.
And how about Danny?
Yep.
And whenever they were smoking at the house, where would they normally go to smoke?
Either the front or the back.
Were there ashtrays out there?
There was ashtrays in the back on the back porch, and there should have been one on the front porch. But Lonnie started smoking after a few months of them moving down in that room.
Now, you said you came in the night of October 4th, and you saw Quentin, Zane, and Sky.
Guy was in the little swing thing, that's where she kind of just slept in that. Zane was in his race car bed in the corner of the wall, and Quentin was right at the foot of the bed in the playpen.
And they were all good at that point in time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And had you ever seen, you said Danny seemed agitated when you got home. Anything abnormal, or was it just his normal?
It was just his normal whining and complaining, but he just, like I said, he just seemed a little bit more agitated. But I was like, don't worry, man, she's gonna be back here in a little while.
Right.
She just rode up the road.
Did you ever see Leilani that evening?
I did not.
Okay.
I had already went to bed before I had saw her.
Okay. All right. And did you ever hear them two arguing or bickering at any point in time that evening?
No, sir.
Okay. That's all the questions I got, Judge. Thank you, Mr. Simon.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dean, any redirect?
One moment, please. No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Simon, is there any reason not to excuse Mr. Simon?
Not on behalf of Ms. Simon, no.
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Simon, you are excused, sir.